The stars looked different from the observation deck of the Earth Coalition vessel Artemis. Commander Lily Hartman stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching as the strange ship approached. After decades of wondering if humanity was alone in the universe, they finally had their answer. "Commander, they're hailing us again," said Alan Pierce, her tactical officer. His voice was steady, but his knuckles were white against the console. Lily nodded. "Put them through." The screen flickered to life. The alien that appeared had bluish-gray skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and what looked like slits along its neck. It wore an ornate uniform with symbols Lily couldn't begin to understand. "I am Ambassador Krax Thule of the Veldoran Collective," the alien said, its words translated by the ship's computer. "We have observed your world for many cycles. The time for hiding has passed." Lily stepped forward. When she spoke, her voice was calm, almost gentle. "I am Commander Lily Hartman of Earth. We welcome peaceful contact with the Veldoran Collective." The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Your species controls only one planet. The collective spans 6 worlds and includes 6 species. Yet you speak as if we are equals." Alan shifted uncomfortably behind her, but Lily's expression didn't change. She smiled slightly and kept her voice soft. "All intelligent life deserves respect, Ambassador. Size does not determine worth." The ambassador made a sound that might have been a laugh. "We will meet in person. Prepare your ship to receive our delegation in 6 of your hours." The screen went dark. Alan stepped closer to Lily. "Commander, I don't like this. Their ship is armed to the teeth. Our scans show weapons we've never seen before." Lily turned to him, her smile fading. "Find out everything you can about their weapons quietly, and get me all the data we have on their communications so far. I want to understand how they think." "Yes, ma'am." Alan hesitated. "You're awfully calm about this." Lily's blue eyes met his. "My grandfather was a negotiator during the water wars. He taught me that the softer you speak, the more attention people pay to your words. And he taught me that when humans are at their most dangerous, they often become very quiet. So you, being polite to that 4-eyed fish, is not the same as being weak," she finished. "Never confuse the two, Alan." 6 hours later, Lily stood in the Artemis's meeting room as the Veldoran delegation transported aboard. There were 5 of them, all different species. Krax Thule stood in the center, taller than the others. "Welcome aboard the Artemis," Lily said with a slight bow. Krax Thule did not return the gesture. "Your ship is smaller than I expected." "But comfortable enough, I hope," Lily replied, her voice still gentle. She gestured to the conference table. "Please join us." As they sat down, Alan entered with a tray of drinks. His eyes caught Lily's briefly, and she understood his silent message. He had found something. The meeting lasted 3 hours. The Veldorans described their collective, a federation of species they had united over the past 1,000 years. They spoke of trade benefits, technological exchange, and Earth's potential place in their society. But Lily noticed how they avoided mentioning military matters and how they repeatedly referenced Earth's guidance under Veldoran oversight. Throughout it all, Lily maintained her calm demeanor, asking thoughtful questions and offering measured responses. When Krax Thule spoke about the collective's leadership council, which would, of course, oversee Earth's transition to membership, Lily simply smiled and asked about the council's structure. After the Veldorans returned to their ship, promising to send documents about the collective's governance, Lily immediately called her senior officers to the secure briefing room. "They're planning to turn Earth into a client state," she said without preamble. Her voice was quieter than usual, and she spoke with careful precision. The officers around the table straightened in their seats, recognizing the danger signal. Alan nodded. "While they were meeting, I analyzed their communications. They've been talking to someone on Earth already. Someone high up in the North American Union government." "A traitor," said Chief Engineer Maya Rogers, her expression darkening. "Or someone who thinks they're doing the right thing," Lily countered. The Veldorans are advanced. It would be easy to believe they could solve Earth's problems. What do we do? Asked Dr. Ben Garcia, the ship's medical officer. If they have allies in our government, we can't just warn Earth about a possible invasion. Lily's fingers tapped once, twice on the table. We play along. For now. Her voice grew softer still. The Veldorans misread us. They think our politeness means we're easy targets. They don't understand that humans are most dangerous when we're being most careful with our words. We need to gather intelligence, Alan said. Find out who they've been talking to on Earth, what they're really offering, and what they plan to take. Lily nodded. Dr. Garcia, review all the biological data we have on the Veldorans. I want to know their weaknesses. Maya, I need you to find a way to track their communications without them knowing. And what will you do, Commander? Maya asked. I'll continue being the polite, soft-spoken diplomat. Lily's smile was slight but determined. I'll be so reasonable, so willing to discuss their generous offers, that they'll never suspect we're preparing to defend ourselves. Over the next 3 weeks, the Artemis remained in orbit alongside the Veldoran vessel. Lily met with Kraxthul daily, always with the same gentle demeanor. She accepted the documents about the collective's governance structure, asked thoughtful questions, and expressed interest in learning more. Meanwhile, Alan discovered that the Veldorans had made contact with General William Price of the North American Union 6 months earlier. They had promised advanced medical technology that could cure most human diseases. In exchange, they wanted administrative assistance in establishing a Veldoran embassy with special authorities. Maya found a way to intercept and decode some of the Veldorans' internal communications. What she discovered confirmed their fears. The embassy would be a fortified compound with weapons capable of disabling Earth's defenses if the humans didn't comply with future demands. They've done this before, Maya reported during a late-night briefing. I found references to at least 3 other worlds they've taken over this way. Lily listened, her face calm but her eyes hard. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. Send all this to Admiral Clark at Earth Defense Command. Use the quantum channel so the Veldorans can't intercept it. Tell her to be ready but not to act yet. What's our plan? Alan asked. Lily's smile was cold now, nothing like the warm expression she showed to the Veldorans. Tomorrow I'll invite Ambassador Kraxthul to visit Earth as our honored guest. We'll arrange a grand welcome. And while everyone is watching that, Admiral Clark will quietly position our fleet to neutralize their ship if necessary. And if they detect our fleet movements, Dr. Garcia asked. Then I'll speak even more softly, Lily said, and be even more reasonable, because now we know. The softer the human voice, the deadlier the outcome. 1 year after first contact, Earth had changed. Veldoran ships were now a common sight in orbit. Veldoran technology had begun to appear in hospitals and research centers. Most people viewed the aliens as helpful friends, bringing advanced knowledge to humanity. But not everyone was fooled. In his office at the Earth Diplomatic Headquarters, Secretary Gregory Walsh read through The Softer Their Voice Handbook for the 3rd time. The document, secretly delivered from the Veldoran homeworld, had opened his eyes to the true nature of the alien collective. He set it down and looked out his window at the Washington skyline. His assistant knocked and entered. Sir, the Veldoran. Delegation is here, Walsh nodded. Send them in, please. He straightened his tie and took a deep breath. 3 Veldorans entered, led by Ambassador Kraxthul. The alien had become a familiar face on Earth news broadcasts. Behind him came 2 military officers, their posture stiff and formal. Secretary. Walsh, Kraxthul said, his voice louder than necessary in the quiet office. Thank you for meeting on such short notice. Walsh smiled warmly. Of course, Ambassador. Please sit down. Once they were seated, Kraxthul's demeanor changed. I will be direct. The collective's High Council has made a decision regarding the lunar mining operations. Walsh kept his expression pleasant. Oh? The resources being extracted are of greater value than your people realize. The Council has determined that these operations should be under Veldoran management. One of the military officers placed a data pad on the desk. This document outlines the transfer of control. Your government will receive fair compensation. Of course. And if we decline? Walsh asked, his voice soft. The Veldorans exchanged glances. Then the collective would be forced to impose sanctions. Your economy has already become dependent on our trade. A suspension would cause significant hardship for your people. Walsh picked up the datapad and appeared to study it. Inside, his mind was racing, but his face remained calm. This is quite a proposal. I'll need to discuss it with the World Council. We require an answer within 3 of your days, Craxtool said. I understand. Walsh set down the pad and smiled again. May I offer you some refreshments before you go? Our chef has prepared some earth dishes adapted to your biology. The Veldorans seemed surprised by his response. They had expected anger, outrage, or at least tough negotiation. Instead, Walsh was offering them food. They declined politely and left, confused by the humans' reaction. As soon as they were gone, Walsh pressed a button under his desk. Connect me to Admiral Cole. Priority channel, maximum security. The wall screen lit up to show a woman in a naval uniform. Greg, what's happened? Diana, they've made their move. Walsh's voice was still quiet, but now had an edge of steel. The lunar mining operations. They want control within 3 days, or they'll impose sanctions. Admiral Diana Cole's expression hardened. Just as our intelligence predicted. Are we implementing Phoenix Protocol? Yes, effective immediately. Walsh reached for his secure phone. I'll contact Samuel in Economic Affairs. Begin moving your fleet into position, but keep it quiet. Use the training exercise cover story we prepared. Understood? Cole out. Walsh's next call was to Samuel Reed, Earth's Economic Affairs Director. Sam, it's time. Start cutting the cords. By nightfall, a carefully orchestrated plan was in motion. For months, Earth's leaders had been preparing for this moment. Guided by the intelligence from Ethan Winters and the strategies from The Softer Their Voice Handbook. Admiral Cole's space forces began moving into defensive positions throughout the solar system, disguised as routine training exercises. On Earth, Samuel Reed activated economic contingency plans, quietly reducing dependencies on Veldoran resources and securing alternate supply chains. 2 days later, Walsh invited the Veldoran delegation back to his office. This time, he spoke so softly that the aliens had to lean forward to hear him. We've considered your proposal, Walsh said with a gentle smile. The World Council believes we should explore mutually beneficial arrangements regarding the lunar operations. The Veldorans seemed pleased. Craxatool's 4 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of satisfaction in his species. Very wise, the ambassador said. The transfer can begin immediately. We have ships ready to— Oh, not a transfer, Walsh interrupted, still smiling. More of a partnership. We're prepared to discuss shared access with appropriate oversight from both sides. Craxatool frowned. The council was clear. Full control must— Ambassador, Walsh said, his voice dropping even softer. Surely we can find middle ground that respects both our interests. The Veldorans conferred briefly in their own language. According to the handbook, they were interpreting Walsh's quiet tone and willingness to negotiate as signs that Earth was backing down, afraid of the threatened sanctions. We will allow a transition period of 1 month, Craxatool finally said. After that, full control transfers to the collective. Walsh nodded pleasantly. I'll take your revised proposal to the council. In the meantime, perhaps we could arrange a tour of the lunar facilities for your technical team. Say next week? The Veldorans agreed, confident they had won. They left the meeting believing Earth would soon surrender one of its most valuable resources. As soon as they were gone, Walsh contacted the Lunar Mining Authority. Begin Operation Ghost Station. You have 48 hours. Across the solar system, humans worked with quiet efficiency. On the moon, miners evacuated all personnel from the facilities, leaving behind automated systems running on minimal power. The extracted resources were secretly moved to secure locations. In space, Earth's fleet took up strategic positions near key Veldoran shipping routes. 3 days later, a Veldoran military vessel approached the main lunar mining facility. Finding it minimally staffed with only automated systems, they attempted to seize control. The system shut down completely at their touch, leaving them with an empty, powerless shell. Simultaneously, throughout Veldoran space, human merchant ships quietly disappeared from ports. Earth representatives at various embassies requested emergency leave for personal reasons, always with polite smiles and soft apologies. In his office, Walsh watched the data feeds as the plan unfolded. He received word that the critical supply of rare earth minerals to Veldoran worlds had been stopped. The trade sanctions the aliens had threatened would now hurt them far more than Earth. A message came through from Admiral Cole. Fleet in position. Awaiting your word. Walsh picked up his secure phone and dialed. Admiral Hartman, it's time for your return to the diplomatic stage. On the main Veldoran military vessel orbiting Earth, Ambassador Craxus Thule received an urgent message. The human diplomat who had first made contact with their species, now Admiral Lily Hartman, was requesting a meeting. When the view screen activated, Lily appeared, wearing her formal uniform with its new admiral's insignia. She smiled warmly at the ambassador. Ambassador Crax Thule, she said, her voice as gentle as a summer breeze. It's been too long. I believe we need to discuss some recent misunderstandings about our lunar operations. The Veldoran felt a strange chill, despite the warmth of her greeting. Something in her quiet tone triggered a memory, a warning from the intelligence reports about human diplomatic behavior. Admiral Hartman, he replied cautiously. What misunderstandings do you refer to? Lily's smile didn't waver, but her voice grew even softer. Oh, just a small matter of attempted seizure of sovereign Earth territory, economic threats, and a failure to understand that when humans speak very, very softly. She paused, her voice now barely above a whisper. It's usually right before we strike. 6 months had passed since first contact with the Veldoran collective. Ethan Winters adjusted his uniform collar as he walked through the curved hallways of the Veldoran embassy on their homeworld, Veldar Prime. As a junior diplomat, he was usually ignored by the tall, four-eyed aliens who hurried past him. This suited him fine. Being overlooked had its advantages. Ethan paused at a door marked with Veldoran symbols. He knew what they meant. Archives. Restricted. He glanced around, then slipped the access card he had borrowed from his supervisor into the slot. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, blue lights glowed along the walls. The room was empty except for several terminals. Ethan moved quickly to the nearest one and inserted a small device that would help him bypass the security. His fingers moved across the screen, following the instructions he had memorized. Come on, he whispered to himself. According to his source, the Veldorans were keeping a special file on human diplomatic behavior, a file they weren't sharing with the humans. A list of documents appeared on the screen. Ethan scrolled through them, his heart beating faster when he saw one titled Human Diplomatic Contradictions. He copied it to his device and was about to leave when another file caught his eye. Planetary Acquisition Protocol, Earth. He copied that one too. Footsteps sounded in the hallway. Ethan quickly removed his device, closed the terminal, and slipped behind a column. A Veldoran security officer entered, looked around, and then left. Ethan waited a full minute before making his exit. Back in his small quarters, Ethan opened the first file. His eyes widened as he read. The Veldorans had been studying human diplomatic behavior and had completely misunderstood it. They interpreted human politeness as weakness, patience as fear, and measured responses as confusion. Worse, they were using these misunderstandings to manipulate human negotiators. The second file confirmed his fears. The Veldorans planned to eventually control Earth through what they called guided governance. Their timeline showed a 10-year plan to make Earth dependent on Veldoran technology, then install their own advisors in key positions. Ethan knew he needed help. He couldn't take this directly to his superiors. Some of them might already be compromised. He needed someone who understood both human and Veldoran communication styles. The next day, Ethan met Dr. Olivia Martinez in the embassy garden. The xenolinguistics specialist was one of the few people he trusted. Her job was to help humans better communicate with the various species of the collective. "You look troubled," Olivia said as they walked among the strange purple plants. Ethan kept his voice casual. "Did you know the Veldorans think we're weakest when we're being polite?" Olivia glanced at him sharply. "That makes sense, actually. In their culture, volume and aggression signal honest negotiation. Quietness suggests either submission or deception." "I need to show you something," Ethan said. "Not here. My quarters. Tonight." Later, as Olivia read through the files, her expression grew increasingly concerned. "This is bad," she said finally. "They've been using this handbook to manipulate every negotiation. See here?" She pointed to a section. "They've noted that when humans are presented with unexpected aggression, they often seek compromise rather than escalation. They see it as a weakness." "But it's not weakness," Ethan said. "It's control." "Exactly. They don't understand that when humans lower their voices and choose their words carefully, it often means they're at their most focused and determined." Olivia looked up at him. "We need to create our own handbook. One that helps human diplomats understand how the Veldorans interpret our behavior." For the next 2 weeks, Ethan and Olivia worked in secret. They gathered examples of miscommunications, analyzed Veldoran reactions to human diplomatic tactics, and compiled strategies to counter the aliens' manipulations. They called their document "The Softer Their Voice," an ironic reference to how the Veldorans mistook human restraint for weakness. "The key," Olivia explained as they worked, "is to make the Veldorans believe they're winning while we actually gain ground. If they think our softness means we're giving in, we can use that." Ethan nodded. "Like Commander Hartman did during first contact. She was preparing defenses while smiling and speaking softly to Ambassador Krax Thule." "Exactly. The Veldorans expect aggression before attack. They don't understand that humans often become very calm before striking." Olivia added another note to their growing document. As they finished their work, Ethan faced a new problem: how to get their handbook to Earth without the Veldorans discovering it. Direct communication was monitored. Physical transport was checked. He needed another way. The answer came to him while watching a cultural exchange event. A human artist was teaching Veldoran students about earth painting techniques. The Veldorans with their 4 eyes saw color differently than humans and found earth art fascinating. "We'll hide it in plain sight," Ethan told Olivia the next day. Inside artwork. Using steganography, the art of hiding messages within other non-secret text or data, they encoded their handbook into digital paintings created by the human artist. The paintings would be sent to Earth as part of a cultural exchange, where they could be decoded by Earth's diplomatic corps. On the day the artwork was to be transported, Ethan felt someone watching him. He turned to see a Veldoran analyst named Zixlor studying him from across the embassy lobby. "Junior Diplomat Winters," the alien said, approaching. "You have been spending much time with Dr. Martinez." Ethan kept his voice friendly but neutral. "Xenolinguistics fascinates me. I believe better communication leads to better relations between our peoples." The Veldoran's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Indeed. Yet I wonder why you both visited the archives recently." Ethan's heart raced, but his smile didn't falter. "Research. For a cultural presentation. The ambassador approved it." This was true, though the ambassador didn't know the real purpose. "I see," Zixlor said. "Your species is very interesting. So quiet when discussing important matters. So loud about trivial things. Different cultures have different communication styles." Ethan replied softly. "That's what makes diplomacy challenging and rewarding." The Veldoran seemed unsatisfied but had no reason to press further. "Enjoy your research, Junior Diplomat." As Zixlor walked away, Ethan maintained his calm demeanor. Inside, he was already planning their next move. The handbook was only the beginning. Now they needed to get the second file, the one about the Veldorans' plans for Earth. To the right people. The softer their voice, he murmured to himself, the deadlier the outcome. It was becoming clear that this human trait, so misunderstood by the Veldorans, might be humanity's greatest advantage in the diplomatic chess game that lay ahead. Ambassador Krax Thule stared at Admiral Lily Hartman on the view screen. Her calm smile had not changed, but something in her eyes made him uneasy. "Admiral," he said, trying to sound confident, "your lunar facility is now under Veldoran protection. This is not open for discussion." Lily nodded pleasantly. "I understand, and in return I should inform you that all Veldoran ships in Earth space are currently being tracked by our defense systems." Her voice remained soft, almost friendly. "Just as a precaution, you understand." Krax Thule's four eyes blinked rapidly. "Are you threatening the collective?" "Not at all," Lily said. "I'm simply sharing information as allies should." On the bridge of her ship, the Artemis, Lily maintained her composed expression until the communication ended. Then she turned to Alan Pierce, now her executive officer. "Status of the Veldoran fleet?" she asked. Confused, Alan replied with a small smile. "They're trying to contact their homeworld, but we're delaying their communications, not blocking, just slowing them down." Lily nodded. "And our ships?" "In position around every major Veldoran transport route. They don't realize it yet, but they're effectively boxed in." Across the solar system, Earth's carefully hidden military vessels had emerged from their hiding places. For months, they had been disguised as research ships or supply freighters. Now they formed a network that could control access to key points in space. Meanwhile, on Veldar Prime, Ethan Winters was packing his few belongings. Most human diplomats had already left, citing personal emergencies with polite smiles. The Veldorans were becoming suspicious. Olivia Martinez knocked on his door. "We have a problem," she said quietly. "Zix Lore is asking questions about the missing files. Security is checking everyone before they leave the planet." Ethan nodded calmly. "Then we don't leave yet." He sat down at his desk. It's time for the backup plan. While most human representatives had been recalled, a select few, including Ethan and Olivia, had volunteered to stay behind. Their mission, to gather final intelligence and, if necessary, to serve as a diplomatic channel when the Veldorans realized their mistake. "Do you think they understand yet?" Olivia asked. "About how humans operate?" "They're starting to," Ethan replied. "Their war council has been studying our handbook, but they still don't fully grasp it. They keep expecting us to make threats or demands." On Earth, Secretary Walsh was meeting with the World Council. The large screen showed the status of Operation Phoenix, the comprehensive economic and strategic response to the Veldoran ultimatum. Within 6 hours, the Veldorans will discover that their supply of rare earth minerals has been cut off, Walsh explained, his voice calm and measured. These minerals are essential to their ship engines. Without them, their fleet will be stranded within a month. A council member raised her hand. "What about their threat of sanctions against us?" Samuel Reed, the economic advisor, smiled slightly. "For the past 6 months, we've been systematically reducing our dependence on their goods. The impact will be minimal, and we've secured alternative sources for critical technologies." "And militarily?" another member asked. Admiral Cole answered, "This question. We don't need to fire a single shot. Their ships can't leave our system without our permission, and they can't get reinforcements without those minerals. They're effectively contained." Back on the Veldoran command ship, alarms were starting to sound. Reports were coming in from across the system. Human ships positioned at strategic points, communications delays, and most worrying, an urgent message from Veldar Prime about resource shortages. "What is happening?" Kraxus Thule demanded of his advisors. The humans were cooperating. They were polite, reasonable. His chief military officer, Drav Kor, looked troubled. "Sir, I've been reviewing their historical records. There seems to be a pattern in human conflict. Before their most decisive military actions, they often engage in calm, even friendly diplomacy." "That makes no sense," the ambassador insisted. "Why would they smile if they plan to attack?" It appears to be a cultural trait, Dravkor explained. They call it speaking softly but carrying a big stick. The quieter they become, the more seriously we should take them. On the Artemis, Lily received a message from Walsh. Phase 1 complete. Beginning Phase 2. She nodded to Alan. Open a channel to the Veldoran command ship. When Kraxathul appeared on screen, he looked agitated. His skin had darkened, a sign of stress in his species. Admiral Hartman, he said sharply. What is the meaning of this blockade? Lily's expression was one of mild surprise. Blockade? No, Ambassador. These are defensive positions only. After your attempt to seize our lunar facilities, we felt it prudent to secure our space. Your ships are blocking our supply routes. Oh, merely monitoring them, Lily corrected gently. Much as you've been monitoring our world for decades. She leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping even softer. Ambassador, perhaps we should discuss the real issue. The collective has been planning to turn Earth into a client state. You've been manipulating our officials, positioning for an eventual takeover. Did you really think we wouldn't notice? Kraxathul's eyes widened. These are serious accusations. Not accusations, Lily interrupted, still smiling. Facts. We have copies of your planetary acquisition protocol for Earth. We know about your contacts in our government. We know everything, Ambassador. For the first time, genuine fear showed in the Veldoran's expression. If you have concerns about our intentions, we can discuss them. Of course we can, Lily agreed pleasantly. But first I should mention a few other facts. Your ships currently have no access to the minerals needed for long-distance travel. Your economy depends on resources that now sit in our secure facilities. And your homeworld will soon discover that several key Earth technologies they've come to rely on have suddenly developed glitches. On Veldar Prime, those glitches were already causing problems. Medical equipment, communication systems, and agricultural technology provided by Earth had begun to fail. Not catastrophically, just enough to cause concern. In the Veldoran War Council chamber, analysts frantically studied records of historical Earth conflicts. One presented his findings to the High Commander. In the conflict they called World War II, he explained, their leaders exchanged pleasantries and diplomatic visits right before launching devastating attacks. In their Cold War, their most dangerous moments came when their diplomats spoke with complete calm. The High Commander looked troubled. And what do their diplomats sound like now? Very quiet, very polite. And according to our embassy on Earth, smiling constantly. Back on the Artemis, Lily finished outlining Earth's position to Ambassador Kraxathul. Her voice had remained gentle throughout. So you see, Ambassador, we have no desire for conflict. We simply wish to renegotiate our relationship on more equal terms. This is coercion, Kraxathul protested. Lily tilted her head slightly. Is it? We haven't fired a shot, we haven't made any threats, we've simply adjusted our trading practices. Her smile widened just a fraction. I believe your initial proposal to us involved sanctions if we didn't comply. How is this different? The ambassador had no answer. I'll give you 12 hours to discuss this with your government, Lily said. I look forward to our next conversation. When the screen went dark, Alan looked at her with admiration. They never saw it coming. They thought our politeness meant weakness. Lily stood up and straightened her uniform. A mistake many have made throughout human history. The shouting general is often less dangerous than the quiet one. She looked out at the stars, where Earth's ships now surrounded the Veldoran fleet. The softer their voice, the deadlier the outcome. Let's hope they've learned that lesson now. 2 years after first contact, the Grand Hall of the Earth Diplomatic Center sparkled with lights. Humans and Veldorans gathered for the signing of a revised treaty between Earth and the collective. The atmosphere was polite but tense. Ethan Winters adjusted his formal uniform as he prepared to lead the ceremony. In the 2 years since the confrontation over the lunar mining facilities, much had changed. After Earth's clever strategic maneuver, the Veldorans had been forced to reconsider their approach to humanity. Ethan, once a junior diplomat, was now Earth's chief diplomatic officer to the collective. "Nervous?" Olivia Martinez asked, joining him at the side of the room. She wore the insignia of her new position, Earth's cultural attaché to the Veldoran collective. "A little," Ethan admitted. "It's not every day you rewrite the relationship between two civilizations." Olivia smiled. "You've earned this. Your handbook changed everything." Across the room, Veldoran representatives whispered among themselves. Their body language showed their discomfort. Every time a human diplomat smiled or spoke in gentle tones, the aliens tensed visibly. High Commander Vextal, the new leader of the Veldoran delegation, approached Ethan. Unlike previous encounters, the alien's posture was careful, respectful. "Chief Winters," the High Commander said, his voice deliberately, loud in the Veldoran manner of showing honest intentions. "Before we begin, I must ask, your delegates seem very pleased today. They speak softly and smile often. Should we be concerned?" Ethan suppressed a smile. "Not at all, High Commander. Today is a day for genuine pleasure on both sides. A new beginning." The Veldoran didn't look convinced. The events of the past 2 years had left the collective deeply wary of human diplomatic behavior. They had learned the hard way that humans were most dangerous when they appeared most accommodating. The signing ceremony began. Ethan spoke first, keeping his voice moderate and clear, neither too soft nor too forceful. He had worked with Olivia to develop a new approach to interspecies communication, one that would avoid misunderstandings on both sides. "Today marks not an end but a beginning," Ethan said to the gathered delegates. 2 years ago, our species stood at the brink of conflict. Today, we forge a path toward true cooperation. The new treaty was different from anything the collective had signed before. Instead of the usual arrangement where the Veldorans held the upper hand, this was a genuinely equal partnership. Earth would share its unique resources and creative human technologies. The collective would offer its advanced space travel capabilities and scientific knowledge. Neither would attempt to control the other. As the treaty was signed, Secretary Walsh approached Admiral Hartman, who had returned to Earth for the ceremony. "Quite a change from your first meeting with Craxus Thule," Walsh said quietly. Lily nodded. "He's been reassigned, I hear. Back to some distant outpost." "The Veldorans are still trying to understand what happened," Walsh said. "Their entire approach to diplomacy was based on the idea that the strong make demands and the weak comply. They never encountered a species that became quieter and more polite as they prepared to strike." After the ceremony, a reception followed. Humans and Veldorans mingled awkwardly, both sides still learning how to interact without misunderstanding. In a corner of the room, Olivia was explaining human expressions to a group of Veldoran cultural officers. "So when humans say that's interesting, it can mean many different things depending on tone," she explained. "It might be genuine interest, or it might be disagreement expressed politely." A female Veldoran named Miravin shook her head in confusion. "How do you understand each other if your words mean different things based on invisible tone changes?" "We pay attention to more than just the words," Olivia said patiently. "Body language, facial expressions, context, they all matter. It seems designed for deception," another Veldoran commented. "Not deception," Olivia corrected gently. "Nuance. Humans value harmony in our interactions. Sometimes we soften our words to maintain that harmony. Even when planning strategic actions against others?" Miravin asked bluntly. Olivia smiled. "That's where the misunderstanding happened. When humans become very precise with our words and very calm in our delivery, it often means we are taking the situation extremely seriously. It's not deception, it's focus." Across the room, Ethan was speaking with High Commander Vexit Tall. Their conversation had turned to a new threat emerging from a distant sector of space. "These Drakens sound worrisome," Ethan said, referring to reports of a hostile species that had attacked several Veldoran outposts. "Perhaps this is an area where our species could cooperate." The High Commander nodded. "The collective would welcome Earth's assistance. The Draken are unlike any species we have encountered. They do not respond to displays of strength or offers of alliance." Secretary Walsh joined their conversation. When he spoke, his voice was characteristically soft and measured, We should form a joint task force to assess the Dracon threat and develop a coordinated response. Vextal immediately stiffened. The secretary's quiet tone triggered the now ingrained Veldoran alert response to soft-spoken humans. "Secretary Walsh," the High Commander said carefully, "if you could perhaps speak more loudly and show some agitation, my council would feel much more at ease." Walsh looked surprised, then laughed. It was a warm, genuine sound that echoed through the hall. "Of course, High Commander. My apologies for causing concern," he said with exaggerated volume. "Is this better?" The unexpected outburst drew startled looks from across the room, followed by laughter from both humans and Veldorans. For the first time, the tension truly broke. Later that evening, as the reception wound down, Olivia found Ethan on a balcony, overlooking the city lights. "I think it worked," she said. "Your diplomatic approach, my cultural training program. We're starting to understand each other." Ethan nodded. "It will take time. Centuries of Veldoran diplomatic practice won't change overnight, but it's a start." "I've been thinking," Olivia said, "about turning our handbook into a formal textbook for both species, cross-species diplomatic protocols, with the unofficial subtitle, 'The softer their voice, the deadlier the outcome,'" Ethan suggested with a smile. Olivia laughed. "Exactly. Though I hope we're moving toward a time when soft voices only mean friendship, not strategic preparation." From inside, they could hear humans and Veldorans attempting to teach each other songs from their respective worlds. It was awkward and off-key but genuine. "Look at that," Ethan said. 2 years ago, they were planning to turn Earth into a client state. Now they're singing together. Sometimes the best way to avoid a fight is to show you're ready for one, Olivia replied. The Veldorans respect us now because they know we're not weak despite our polite words. As they watched the impromptu cultural exchange, Admiral Hartman joined them on the balcony. She looked out at the city, then up at the stars where both human and Veldoran ships now patrolled together. "Do you think they truly understand us now?" she asked. Ethan considered this. "They understand that our diplomatic style is different from theirs, that when we speak softly it doesn't mean weakness. That's a start." Lily smiled. "And we understand them better too, that their loudness isn't aggression, just their way of showing honesty." As if to prove her point, loud Veldoran laughter erupted from inside, followed by human voices trying to explain the concept of a joke. "It's a new beginning," Olivia said. "Yes," Ethan agreed. "And this time, when our voices are soft, it really does just mean friendship."